The Real ID deadline is almost here and scammers are jumping into the rush. The FBI is ramping up its efforts to solve cases in Indian country. We'll tell you what they're doing. And a Rapid City man is sentenced to decades in prison for a fatal shooting in February of last year. Your news starts now.
From Skyline Drive, this is KOTA Territory News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Jack Cottle. A man accused of killing another man outside a Family Dollar in Rapid City is sentenced to 30 years in prison at today's hearing. 7th Circuit Judge Joshua Hendrickson sentenced 30-year-old Derek Braveheart to 30 years in prison for the death of 43-year-old Jonathan Odom back in February of 2024. A jury found Braveheart guilty of first-degree manslaughter in March. Braveheart shot Odom in the Family Dollar parking lot on Haynes Avenue after an argument, claiming he acted in self-defense. But prosecutors said Braveheart had multiple opportunities to de-escalate the situation, but instead provoked and escalated the conflict. Meteorologist Ryan Hill is in the First Alert Weather Center with the forecasts, and we have a slow-moving cold front. So, Ryan, how long do the showers and storms stick around?
Yeah, we've got quite an active radar out there, Jack. It's going to continue to be quite active, especially in western KOTA territory. We're talking about northeastern Wyoming. That being said, we still have some storms coursing through the area where we're at 66 degrees with some strong northwesterly winds. So we're starting to push that boundary eastward. Take a look at all this lightning from Rapid City, around Rapid City on southward to Casper. So you're next in Crook County, at least within the next hour or so. You can see some of that heavier rain and lightning headed your way, but that front is headed through, and then behind that we've got some very breezy conditions and persistent showers. We don't really hold on to those in Rapid City, but tonight definitely much cooler, and tomorrow as well, watching that commute, which could be a little bit on the drier side here in Rapid City. We'll have more on that, plus some big heat coming this weekend in my full forecast. Jack, back to you.
Thank you, Ryan. The president of the Oglala Sioux Tribe is giving his thoughts about a recent surge of FBI agents to address unsolved crimes in Indian country. KOTA Territory's Blake Trolley has more.
Last month, the federal government announced they would be sending 60 agents to work 90-day assignments to support field offices across the country, including Minneapolis, which handles the Pine Ridge Reservation. The FBI said its personnel would be assisted by the Bureau of Indian Affairs Missing and Murdered Unit and would use the latest forensic evidence tools to solve cases.
Well, I'm glad it's happening. You know, finally, it's in the spotlight now, and I'm glad it's being addressed. But we're not done yet. I need to see more action out there.
Starr Comes Out says his reservation has a large number of unsolved cases and lacks resources and manpower. He says those items still need to be addressed. The tribal leader says he testified in D.C. on his lack of officers and lack of action. Starr Comes Out says he currently has 30 to 35 officers for the entire reservation.
We have, I believe, 6 patrolling in one shift. So for 55,000 membership and 3.3 million acre reservation, that is unacceptable.
South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley says he believes the state has not seen enough such efforts as the surge announced last month. He says he believes more resources need to be dedicated to the issue.
At the Attorney General's office, we have a full-time position. We call her the director. We could use more to be able to get the word out and to assist with the prosecutions.
Various groups gathered in Rapid City for a South Dakota Missing or Murdered Indigenous Persons Conference. Laura Bullock, who runs the Facebook page South Dakota Missing Persons, attended.
Strengthen numbers, and having people with like-minded advocacy, I think is the change that we need to see here in South Dakota.
As of the beginning of this fiscal year, the FBI had 4,300 open investigations in Indian country, which included more than 900 death investigations. In Rapid City, Blake Trolley, KOTA Territory News.
Most air travelers will be required to use a driver's license that complies with the Real ID requirements beginning Wednesday. And with the deadline quickly approaching, scammers are taking advantage of the rush. People across the nation are getting calls, texts, or emails from scammers posing as the Department of Motor Vehicles or Homeland Security, saying they can help make sure your ID is real. Victor Gust is the civil sergeant at the Pennington County Sheriff's Office and says these scammers are taking advantage of the deadline and reminds people IDs can only be given at the DMV.
People can call local law enforcement whenever they feel like they may be targeted as a scam. We can try to give them the best information we can, help guide them. Big thing when it comes to the ID type of stuff would be to maybe just call the DMV themselves or show up in person.
South Dakota began issuing Real ID compliant licenses in 2009. You can double check that you have a Real ID by looking for a gold star in the upper right-hand corner. For tourists seeking a guide to help them plan their perfect South Dakota vacation, there's a spot in downtown Rapid City that may be a good start. Today, Visit Rapid City's Visitor Center opened its doors for the second year. The center serves as a hub for tourists and locals to plan and explore the Black Hills area, providing items including itineraries, travel resources, downtown gift cards, and apparel. It includes new features this year, including a retail section that provides Rapid City themed merchandise. In addition, Visit Rapid City's Visitor Services Manager says the center's windows were redone to explain Rapid City and the Black Hills to customers and give them an idea of the places they can explore. They've added President Donald Trump's bronze statue, which the manager says was to help drive customer traffic.
Going forward, every new president that's introduced to our City of Presidents statues will spend their first summer with us. So when President Biden is finished and completed, he will be spending his first summer here as well.
And Sutter said it's great to see a lot more police on the street after the Rapid City Police Department increased their presence downtown due to a fatal stabbing near Main Street Square last month.
This early in the season, it's hard to tell, but I hope that it can be maintained because I know as an employee who gets off work later in the evening, it is nice to know that that presence is there.
People can find the Visitor Center at 613 Main Street. It's open every day from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. through October. The Keystone Park Board is working to rally support for a new venue designed to host events in the heart of town. A brand new outdoor amphitheater is in the planning stages following a design presentation last month. The Park Board plans to apply for a 50-50 grant from South Dakota Game Fish and Parks to help fund the project. The amphitheater is slated for construction at Keystone's Watson Park next to the library and City Hall. Park Board President Jacob Rapp says he hopes Watson Park becomes a destination for both community members and visitors and says his board has made great progress.
We're not the only ones applying. You know, it's a nationwide grant. So we're crossing our fingers and saying a little prayer that things come through. But I feel like even if we don't get the grant, we're so far ahead of where we were. I think submitting something else will be a lot easier next time.
If approved, the grant will be awarded in October. Well, it's something shooters are looking forward to. Game Fish and Park's new shooting complex is getting closer to completion. We'll take you there for a look after the break right here on KOTA Territory News at 5:30. A new Game Fish and Park shooting and sports complex being built in Meade County is getting closer to being open for business. Our Noah Miller takes you there for a look.
This is where the South Dakota Shooting Sports Complex is going to go, and it stretches over a mile long.
We built it up into something really amazing. So we're, again, going to offer all of the shooting disciplines out here and be able to accommodate anyone that wants to shoot out here in any type of shooting discipline or shooting event.
KOTA says that this project is built to hold 200 shooters at once, with all kinds of training for everyone of all ages.
We do expect to attract thousands to this facility, certainly local folks and people from South Dakota, but then also across the region and the nation. We're going to hold some big shooting matches here that will have anywhere from 300 to 500 contestants and a lot of folks coming from out of town, and they'll be bringing their families.
The complex plans on having both indoors and outside ranges for a wide variety of sports shooting.
We will offer indoor archery and air gun in our hunting and shooting education building, and then the rest of the shooting will be outside.
The complex will offer free educational classes for everyone interested in learning more about shooting or ones that are new to the sport.
We'll welcome everyone out here, and we really want to talk to folks that maybe haven't shot a gun before. We'll have classes that are just basic shooting 101 classes, so tell them about all the different guns, how they work, how to keep them safe, and then get them introduced to shooting sports and hopefully hunting and other outdoor activities.
These classes are free to take, KOTA says, leaving us wondering, when will this be open?
And we'll be complete here in October of 2025. Construction is moving right along, and we're right on schedule, and so things should be ready to be open there in mid-October.
In Meade County, Noah Miller, KOTA News.
And meteorologist Ryan Hill is tracking when our showers taper off, plus a big-time warm-up. The details are next in your accurate First Alert forecast.
Now, the First Alert forecast with meteorologist Ryan Hill.
An unsettled and breezy look things to the Golden West Tower cam here. You can see some of our thunderstorms kind of running off into the distance right there, and a little bit of a shake to the camera, at least not as much as what we were seeing earlier. Wind directions are changing right now as we have a frontal boundary moving its way through the area. You can see there is a very huge disparate who's got the warmth and who doesn't. 39 in Sheridan right now, whereas on the other side of that, Phillip, 72, Rapid City, right near the boundary at 66 degrees. So you can tell it's one of the reasons why we're firing all these storms in the area. See that on our radar. Plenty of lightning making its way through northern Meade County and into Ziebach County. Under this cell, you could see some pretty heavy rain, gusts to 40 miles per hour, maybe even some half-inch hail. We've had reports of, or at least indications that these storms might have that potential. So something to keep an eye on with some of these heavier cells. Look at this all the way out in central Wyoming, but we still have some activity with plenty of lightning moving into Crook County in northeast Wyoming. But that's supposed to start shifting eastward, and so will the cold temperatures. We're talking about 33 and 37 for Sheridan and Gillette. Still on the warm side here in the Rapid City area, 47 for your temperature. So definitely shows to Goya that we've got a slow moving boundary here that is going to continue to produce not only rain but windy conditions. Take a look at these 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts. They're going to slowly move on eastward. I would not be surprised to see 30-35 mile per hour gusts in Rapid City overnight into tomorrow morning. Take a look at tomorrow. We've got 61, so a hefty chunk out of temperatures compared to what we had today or even yesterday. We hit 80 in Rapid City yesterday on your Sunday, but that pales in, I tell you, these temperatures pale in comparison to what we saw over the weekend. 45 in both Sheridan and Gillette. We're losing that instability over the next 3 hours or so. So the best time to really keep those thunderstorms in around our area is around 8 o'clock. Beyond that, we're still holding out of that shower activity until this boundary dissipates. This system, the main upper level system, sinks to the south and we lose a lot of the energy and moisture. So we're kind of a quarter of an inch of rain here in Rapid City, but a half to 3/4, maybe some areas, isolated areas, to an inch between Sheridan and Casper, and not really too much as far as rain chances are concerned. We do have at least some isolated to widely scattered thunderstorm chances on Friday, but really slim pickings as we make our way towards the weekend as a huge ridge of high pressure makes its way into the area. And what that's going to do, it's going to bring us well above normal, perhaps nearly record conditions and temperatures, but we're getting more optimistic after that point. Take a look at this trough right there. A little big bowling ball trough with a little bit of upper level energy. You're swinging right through our area, right at the base of that trough. So right through our area, we could be seeing potentially some stronger thunderstorms by that point. So something to look forward to on that 7-day forecast.
All right, for those of us trying to grow grass and plants out there, that's good news having a little rain.
Indeed it is, and to see plenty of opportunities for that as well. It brings a smile to my face.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Ryan. Well, coming up, you're in luck this evening as we have a big old fish headed your way. Plus, the Post 22 and Post 320 baseball teams are ready to renew their rivalry tomorrow night. The Quick has all the details next in KOTA Sports.
Good evening, everybody. It's a busy Monday night in the world of high school baseball as Spearfish hosts Sturgis. Belfouche is also on its home diamond to take on Rapid City Central, and the lead Deadwood baseball team hosts Rapid City Christian for a doubleheader. Now, the Post 22 and Post 320 baseball teams hit the diamond at Pete Lean Field tomorrow night for their first matchup of the season. Both teams have played pretty well in the early going. The Stars check in with a 3-1 record. The Hardhats have gotten off to a 6-0 start, sweeping series series from Sheridan and Cheyenne. Now, Post 22 does face the challenge of replacing 11 seniors from last year's team, but head coach Kelvin Torvey is pleased with the way his guys have played in the early part of the season.
Got a lot of new faces. We don't have a lot of power, but I think it's going to be fun to coach because I think we've got a bunch of guys who will run through a wall to win a game, and so we got some team speed. We got a little bit of experience coming back on the mound in the infield. We're going to play defense. I think we'll throw strikes, and when you throw strikes and play defense, you're going to be in virtually every game. So we're going to do that. Like I said, we got some team speed, so we can run a little bit. So if we put those together, we'll be in. We're not going to blow teams out, I don't believe, but we'll be in most every game, and that's what you want.
It's an exciting night on the local sports scene as the annual Rapid City Sports Hall of Fame and recognition banquet's going to be held over at the Monument. The high school and college athletes of the year will be honored, and the newest members of the Hall of Fame will be welcomed in. Now let's take a look at your college athletes of the year. For the ladies, Kaya Watson and Gracie Brink earned the honor. Watson plays basketball at West Virginia and helped the Mountaineers reach the second round of the NCAA tournament. Brink turned in an excellent softball season at Augustana. Now Connor Hellenbeck and Cale Larson are the male college athletes of the year. Hellenbeck plays basketball at Idaho State, was named the Big Sky Player of the Week back in January. Larson wrestles for Augustana and won the Division II National Championship. And it's time now for another edition of Big Old Fish. And this evening, Greg Branson is our featured angler. Greg caught this nice-looking brown trout out of Sheridan Lake. Congratulations, Greg, and best of luck in the rest of your fishing endeavors. You too can be featured on Big Old Fish. Just send us your picture by using the Submit Photos link at KOTATV.com. Make sure and give us the name of the person who caught the fish, what kind of fish it is, how big it is, and where it was caught. Get those pictures in, and we'll get you on Big Old Fish. Weather getting warmer, great time to go out and do some fishing, Jack, and get on Big Old Fish.
And good time to be a Nuggets fan as well.
That's right, on to round 2 of the NBA playoffs. Nuggets won a game 7 of their first round series against the Clippers on Saturday. Right back on the court tonight for game 1 against the top-seeded Thunder. So the Nuggets will look to keep things rolling down in Oklahoma City tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Vic. Well, Star Wars comes to life for some kids in Minnesota. We'll check it out when we come back.
Be sure to tune in to KOTA Territory News at 6 on Fox. We hear from a man with South Dakota roots who is going viral for his 50 States in 50 Days tour. Plus, we feature one of our Rising Star of the West Scholarship finalists. Those stories and more are at 6 on Fox.
The first Star Wars film debuted in 1977, and its influence is still being felt. Children at a Minnesota elementary school are still learning lessons from the legendary franchise. Semi Selena has the story.
A long time ago, in a school not so far, far away.
That was a good trick.
Students have plenty of options for their after-school program.
Check.
Chess.
It's just like using your brain.
Art.
Are you satisfied and happy with your drawing?
Or
Next, ask if your fighters are ready.
Training to fight the Sith Lord.
Good versus bad with swords that can cut you in half.
Randolph Heights Elementary School offers lightsaber fencing through community education after school classes.
I get to hang out with my friends. Personally, Star Wars is, I really like Star Wars.
I wanted to join it because it was the best out of everything else.
Yes.
And you two are going to fight, and I'm going to ref over here.
Coach Walker, no relation to Skywalker, knows how it looks.
At first glance, it does seem like just a, beat-em-up sport.
But he says there's more to it.
One of the biggest things that we learn in this class is that self-restraint. Because you can't just go in there and, you need to know when to wait. You need to know when to strike.
Ready.
Braden Walker says his class is kind of like the movies themselves. chaos on the surface.
All right.
With some deeper lessons.
It doesn't come down to Luke beating Vader with a lightsaber. And I think so much of Star Wars is about connection and about connecting to others. And I think that's why it's lasted so long.
Don't forget to tuck in masks.
Lessons they will take with them, not just Force.
May the Force be with you.
The safe way to do a lightsaber.
Yeah, that looks a lot safer. I gotta tell you, Braden Walker, you think he should go by Braden Skywalker just for the effect
We'll
there?
have to see.
That'd be awesome.
All right, how about the rain out there?
Yeah, it's gonna be skywalking away on this Revenge of the Fifth Day, as we do still have some isolated thunderstorm chances into Wednesday. Things dry up and dramatically warm up. Watch Friday for a few isolated storms, but the better storms and the better water for our plants comes after that 87 on Mother's Day as we make our way into next Wednesday.
All right, 87, I'm excited about that. I like the hot weather.
Very summer-like, July actually, very like July.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you tonight at 10.
Thanks for watching KOTA Territory News, your local news and weather authority.